Before dawn this week, an armed drone came in low through Jordanian airspace, using the desert terrain to approach Israel. Israeli Air Force intercepted it near the southern Dead Sea before it crossed the border into the Jewish state. It was the third drone that stopped in that sector in roughly 24 hours, while Jordan had already downed 2 drones that entered from the Iranian territory. Why would Tehran, or one of the networks operating for it, probe this air corridor while diplomats are trying to preserve a pause, a ceasefire? Because the bombing may have slowed, but the hunt has not stopped. The United States paused a prepared expansion of its campaign after 13 consecutive nights of strikes. Yet, its tankers, fighters, ships, submarines, air defense batteries, and surveillance aircrafts remain across this region. Negotiators are discussing the Strait of Hormuz, oil traffic, sanctions, and a possible temporary arrangement. Military planners are still tracking missile launchers, mobile radars, coastal batteries, command vehicles, and the entrances to underground facilities. That is where a machine from the world of science fiction is entering this war. It is known publicly as the RQ-180, although even that name has never been officially confirmed. The United States Air Forces does not acknowledge the aircraft. For years, its public relations department consisted mainly of blurry photographs and aviation experts arguing on the internet what it is. And then, on March 18, 2026, a Greek aviation photographer captured a huge flying wing aircraft descending near Larissa. It lowered its landing gear in daylight and approached the runway with the calm of an airliner arriving from London. The shape was different from a B-2 or a B-21 or the smaller RQ-170. Aviation analysts believe that the secret aircraft had finally stepped out of the shadows. The most important American aircraft over Iran may be one that carries no bombs. As missiles once again fall all across the Middle East from Iran, Hezbollah, and other enemies, many people are asking how they can stand with Israel in a meaningful way. And the answer is very simple: help us rebuild. We invite you to take part in something real, something that is rooted in the land and in our hearts. The Rebuild Israel campaign continues. It's bringing life back to Israel's north. So along Israel's northern border, an area marked by war, displacement, and loss, we are planting an apple orchard, not as a symbol for a single moment, but as part of a long-term commitment to restore what was damaged and strengthen Israel's future. At a time when Israel is under attack, planting trees is a powerful declaration that we are still here, that we are building, that we are growing, and that we're not leaving anywhere. Because God promised this land to His people, the people of Israel, and together we can help it flourish once again. This orchard is more than just agriculture. It creates jobs for local families. It helps communities return and rebuild. And it sends a clear message to the people of Israel: you are not alone. So when you donate, you're not just giving, you're rebuilding. Your support puts trees in the ground, restores livelihoods, and transforms land that is scarred by war into a land that grows again. This is how renewal takes root. This is how Israel rebuilds after war. So stand with Israel today. Plant hope, restore the north, and strengthen the future. How you do that? You go now to tbn.org/rebuildisrael. That's tbn.org/rebuildisrael, or call 800-804-7895. Rebuild the land, restore hope, and bless the future. And let's show these terrorists that we're not going anywhere. The story of the RQ-180 begins with the problem that was created by the retirement of the SR-71 Blackbird in 1998. The Blackbird survived by flying extremely high and extraordinarily fast. It could cross the sky at more than 3 times the speed of sound, gather intelligence, and leave before most defenses could respond. Speed, however, did not make it invisible. Soviet interceptors, long-range missiles, and improving the radar networks made its missions increasingly dangerous. Satellites filled part of the gap, but satellites follow predictable orbits. An advisory can calculate when one is coming, move a launcher under cover, and bring it back after the satellite passes. The American answer was not another fast aircraft. It was a patient aircraft that could remain inside defended airspace without being noticed. Aviation reporting indicates that Northrop Grumman received the classified contract around 2008. The aircraft probably began flight testings around 2010 and may have entered operational service several years later. Almost every technical figure remains an estimate because the Pentagon has released no official data. Those estimates are remarkable. The wingspan may reach roughly 130 feet, or about 40 meters. That's wider than a Boeing 737. The aircraft may operate above 60,000 feet, remain airborne for about 24 hours, and cover distances approaching 22,000 kilometers. A conventional tail, vertical stabilizers, exposed engine faces, and sharp angles can return radar energy towards a sensor. The RQ-180 appears to reduce those reflections while preserving enough aerodynamic efficiency for very long missions. Analysts sometimes joke that its radar signature resembles a rice cake. That's not an official Pentagon measurement, but it explains the ambition. The aircraft seen in Greece appeared to carry two prominent sensors that are already beneath its body. One may house a powerful electro-optical camera. The other could contain infrared equipment, a synthetic aperture radar, or another classified sensor. Earlier reporting also suggests radio frequency systems capable of detecting enemy emitters and perhaps supporting electronic attacks. A synthetic aperture radar can build a detailed image from radar returns, even through the clouds or through the darkness. A passive electronic sensor can listen for radar communications and data links without announcing itself in the same way. Optical and infrared systems can then identify the vehicles, the heat sources, the tunnel entrances, and the recent movement. This combination matters because Iran's most dangerous weapons do not sit politely on the exposed runway. A ballistic missile launcher can leave a tunnel, raise its missile fire, and disappear within minutes. A truck carrying an anti-ship missile can emerge near Hormuz, launch towards a tanker, and reverse into the warehouse. A mobile radar can operate briefly, feed a firing unit, then shut down before a strike aircraft reaches the area. Military planners call these time-critical targets. The problem is not knowing that a missile was launched. American satellites and also regional radars can usually identify the general launch area. The problem is following the launcher during the short journey back to its hiding place. That requires an eye that is already above the target. The stealth aircraft with long endurance can watch the same roads, the valleys, the industrial compounds, and the tunnel entrances for hours. It can notice which doors open before a launch, which vehicle moves afterwards, and where the crew attempts to disappear. It can then pass exact coordinates to the Tomahawk missile, to an armed drone or an F-15E formation, or another platform carrying the correct weapon. The RQ-180 probably does not need its own bombs, because carrying weapons externally would damage its stealth and its endurance. Internal weapons would consume space that is needed for fuel, for cooling, for sensors, and for communications. Its power comes from allowing another aircraft to strike while Iran remains unsure how the target was discovered at all. That uncertainty has military value. If every mobile launcher risks detection, crews stay underground for longer because they're afraid. Commanders communicate less. Radar operators hesitate before switching on their systems. A vehicle that never leaves its tunnel cannot threaten Israel, an American base, or also a commercial ship, because they're still hiding. So before we continue, I'm calling on all of you to help us share the truth. Like this report, share it, and also subscribe to Boots on the Ground so that you never miss another update of what's happening in this war. What you see on YouTube is only part of the story, and you can get a closer, first-hand report, behind-the-scene moments, and also stories of faith, resilience, and hope from Israel at tbn.org/journeys/boots. That's tbn.org/journeys/boots. And you can also text the word BOOTS to 316-316 to receive direct updates from TBN Israel. When Mati and me are reporting from Israel, you're not just watching another distant conflict. You are seeing events through the eyes of the people who actually live here and report from the ground. This invisible aircraft also helps explain a visible American contradiction. Washington repeatedly demonstrates that it can expand the wall, then applies the brakes. A larger strike package was prepared. Broader targets reportedly included transportation links, communications, logistics hubs, power systems, and infrastructures that are supporting the Revolutionary Guard's operations were also targeted. Then, President Trump gave diplomacy another window. Part of that decision concerns military risk. A wider offensive could trigger ballistic missile and drone attacks against the American bases, against the Gulf energy facilities, against the shipping lanes, and also against Israel. Defensive crew would have to send Patriot, THAAD, and also naval interceptors. The United States can continue attacking, but it must also calculate the cost of the Iranian response. Oil provides another reason. Every sign of negotiations has pushed prices downward. Every mine, missile, tanker, diversion, or threat against Hormuz sends fear back into the market. Trump wants Iranian pressure reduced without handling Tehran's permanent control over the waterway. There may also be a deeper strategic calculation. One interpretation that is presented by a former Israeli military official and also regional analysts is that Washington wants to break the ruling system without breaking Iran as a functioning country. This is analysis, not a publicly confirmed American policy. There's no official document saying that the United States intends to replace the leadership and preserve the state for a future government. The logic, however, deserves attention. Iran is not only the Revolutionary Guards. It's not only nuclear tunnels, missile facilities, and also military ports. It's also a country of tens of millions of people with power stations, refineries, pipelines, water systems, roads, hospitals, factories, and commercial harbors. Destroying those systems could weaken the regime, but it could also leave ordinary Iranians without electricity, fuel, clean water, medicine, or employment. The humanitarian damage would continue longer after the last missile was fired. Rebuilding could cost hundreds of billions of dollars. A population that opposes the Islamic regime could still blame the United States for destroying the country that it hoped to inherit. There is an economic calculation as well. Iran possesses valuable oil and also gas infrastructure, skilled workers, major ports, industrial capacity, and a large consumer market. Under a different government, those assets could support recovery, regional trade, Gulf investment, and cooperation with Western companies. A burned refinery produces neither political stability nor revenue, and that creates the strategic image of changing the driver without driving the car into a wall. So, the comparison is imperfect. The Revolutionary Guards are deeply embedded inside Iran's energy, construction, banking, telecommunications, and also transportation sectors. Preserving infrastructure may also preserve the networks that finance repression. Removing senior leaders while leaving those networks untouched could produce a new sign on the same building. And this is why precision intelligence becomes so important. Exact location changes the target set. A mobile launcher can be hit without destroying an entire industrial district. A command vehicle leaving a protected compound can be struck without cutting electricity to the surrounding cities. Trucks serving an underground nuclear site can be tracked and disrupted without immediately flattening every road, bridge, and power station that is connected to it. The RQ-180 offers more than just surveillance. It offers choices. It allows Washington to maintain pressure during negotiations, to prepare targets without publicly escalate, and attack military systems while preserving civilian infrastructure when circumstances permit. It also helps Israel by finding the launchers and the drones that threaten its cities before they fire. But this is not a clean or a magical solution. Iran uses tunnels, camouflage, decoys, civilian buildings, underground facilities, and also short communication windows. A camera can show a truck entering a tunnel, but it cannot always reveal what sits hundreds of feet beneath the mountain. A stealth drone can map activity around Pickaxe Mountain, but it cannot guarantee the destruction of a centrifuge deep inside the complex. Precision also requires patience. Impatience carries a price. Every additional diplomatic pause gives Tehran time to move its equipment, to repair the launchers, to adjust the routes, to study the American habits, and place more systems underground. The same surveillance campaign that prevents unnecessary destruction can become an excuse to postpone a decision. This is the real connection between the drone, the negotiations, and the debate over Iran's future. The RQ-180 represents the military method that Washington appears to prefer. Penetrate quietly, understand the system, isolate the dangerous parts, and strike only what must be struck. The pause represents the political hope that pressure can force a deal before the United States has to attack the foundations of the Iranian state. Iran is testing that hope with drones, maritime threats, missile rebuilding, and continued nuclear activity. Israel is warning that a pause, which preserves those capabilities, is not a solution. It is time that is purchased by the enemy. The next stage may therefore be decided by something almost nobody on the ground can see. A silent flying wing, watching a launcher emerge while leaders in Washington decide whether to destroy the vehicle or widen the wall all around it. So how long can this strategy preserve Iran for the day after, before Iran uses the pause to prepare the next day for fighting? What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments. And in the meantime, make sure to keep standing with the truth. Help us share what's happening on the ground by hitting the subscribe button, sharing this video, and commenting. Make sure to look us up on our social media accounts, Yair Pinto and Mati Shoshani, for reports behind the ground. And keep praying for the situation. Pray for wisdom to our leaders, even if you don't agree with them. God placed them there for a reason. Pray for the servicemen and women who are fighting in this war. Pray for the children of Israel to have a future without rockets. And keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem. Thank you so much.
Hello, this is Mati here in Jerusalem with TBN Israel.
This is Yair Pinto from TBN Israel here in Jerusalem. TBN Israel is keeping viewers informed with Israel-focused news, culture, and what God is doing in this land.
Support TBN Israel today online at tbn.org/Israel. Thank you.